Daith da, Obi Nakan. Welcome to podcast number 152. So before I start this week, I thought I must just mention I was overwhelmed, really. I had a notification come through today that in the last week there was over 75,000 downloads worldwide of this podcast, which is amazing. And I know that more people actually stream it than they download it. And I haven't got a clue, I've said before, how many people actually stream it. But downloads alone, it was over 75,000 people. So thank you all for that. I hope you're enjoying it. It is seeming very popular, so I'll keep going for a little while yet, if I can. Now, you may well have seen on our RJ Bray Facebook page last week, I did put a couple of photos up. And a little while ago, our Bray Charitable Fund donated some money to the Gaia Trust. And Mark Steer, one of the trustees, a lot of you Bridgers will know Mark, his sister Jane, and the older ones will know his parents, Jack Steer and Lowell. So, lovely family, Sladesbridge family initially. And Mark had been saying for ages, we must get a photo done and do a little article. So, as you know, if you listen to the podcast every week, we have been a little bit quieter lately. So I spoke to Mark. He said, yep, we'll go for it. So he come and picked me up and we went up to Treadwell. Now, I got to get the pronunciation of that right because my great-grandparents used to live up Treadwell Lane. And the reason I say getting the pronunciation right is because it's actually spelled Treeraven, or that's what it looks like, Treeraven. And it's Travern. And a little while ago, I did mention it, there was a BBC, I think it was, programme that went up there and did a bit of filming, and they kept calling it Treeraven. Oh, it was doing me head in, I tell you. But I got to get it right. I know when Uncle Les passed away, I had to do his eulogy, and then I thought, I've got to get Travern right. So I think I got it right. But it definitely pronounced how it's spelt, like Ruthers. You might know Ruthers, which is spelt Ruth Vose. Ruthers, that's another one. But anyway, we donated some money to the Gaia Trust. And what they did with the money, they bought a new bench and some tools as well to help on the farm there. Because they got a farm, I think it is about 170 acres, they've said. And actually, my cousins do farm part of it up there, which is lovely. But as well as the farmland, they've also got public footpaths, open fields, so you can actually go up there and walk around. And they offer both recreational and educational opportunities as well. And as they state, their mission is farming for people and wildlife. And basically, it is a space where nature, community, and sustainable agriculture, that's easy enough for me to say, agriculture meet. So it is fantastic. So I spent a little time up there with Richard Alston, who works up there. Lovely chap, known him for decades. Lovely chap, and Mark Steer as well. And we did have a few photos. So there we go. But if you want to look on our Facebook or website, you'll see the photos, a little bit of a write-up. And it might get you into looking more into the Gaia Trust, seeing what they do, and perhaps maybe help them out in some way. So last weekend was a quiet weekend again, which was lovely, really. I just got to learn to relax, which I still haven't managed to do. But we did go for a walk on Saturday evening and went up on the cliffs. And I tell you what, the most fantastic sight I've seen for years. Oh, I was blown away because I've never seen one in real life before. And there must have been 15 or 16 Cornish choughs. Now, if you don't know what a chough is, have a look, Google it. Basically, it is a kind of a crow, I suppose you would say, but it's got bright red long beak and red legs. And they were so common on the cliffs of Cornwall. But then in the early 20th century, they pretty much all but disappeared. Luckily, though, however, in the early 2000s, they started returning to Cornwall. And like I say, I had seen pictures of a few down Trevone, but not further up kind of thing, Pose F sort of area. It was fantastic to go and see these birds. Now, the chough, if you look at the coat of arms of Cornwall, it is there on the coat of arms with the 15 bezants and everything. And legend has it that in his last battle, King Arthur didn't actually die, but he transformed into a Cornish chough. And he remains in Cornwall in that form, looking over the land. And it is said when Cornwall is in its darkest hour, Arthur will return, either by reincarnation, resurrection, or emerging from the underworld. And upon his return, it was always said he would lead the Cornish and drive the English invaders out of Cornwall. And when he does that, I'm going to miss my missus, but there we are. Because, well, she's lived here since she was 3, but that's another story. But it's right, she doesn't listen to this podcast anyway. But yeah, it was brilliant. If you go on my Facebook page, now, over the last week, something's changed with my Facebook page. They kind of sent me a message and said that they could make it public if, I think, did they call me a public figure or something? I don't know how they got that. So my own personal Facebook page is now public. Because I know I've said in the past, or I've put photos on my Facebook page. Well, of course, if it's private, you can't see it. So I think you can go on there now. It's a photo of me when I was up in London with a sign of, I think it was the Cornish Gardens or Cornwall Gardens or something over my shoulder. And you can see I did 3 or 4 videos of these Cornish choughs. And it was absolutely brilliant. It really was. But, yeah, you go on my Facebook page. I'm a bit worried. Now 'tis public. Is it going to get hacked or no? We'll have to wait and see. But there we are. You can go on there, say I took a few videos. Didn't the best videos, but at least you can see I did zoom in on one, and you can see their red beaks and legs and everything. Proper job. And apart from that, say a relaxing weekend. We went to watch the grandsons, both of them at their football training Saturday. And it was, I say, organised chaos, I would say. Dear old Mehdi, I mean, you've got loads of kids there. And he was trying to tell them what to do. Well, I must admit, I got confused. But it was lovely watching them anyway. And we did a bit of bodyboarding on Sunday. Weather was terrible. 'Tis August. 'Tis meant to be sunny. 'Twas blimmin' cold and drizzly. There was quite a few in the sea, but the beach was deserted. And like I say, for August, I mean, 'tis height of the season now. Very sad. If you're down here on holiday, it must be gutting, really. But there we go. As far as funerals go, I mean, end of last week, we had Clive's funeral from St. Breward, and we was at Glyn Valley, and it must be one of the most loveliest routes to take. I know if you're in the family, you ain't taken it in most probably, but to leave St. Breward and to go over the moor, over Delphi Bridge, to get to Glyn Valley, a lovely route, really. And we had a lovely service, so we really did. And then in the afternoon, dear Mandy's service. Well, Mandy I've known all my life, known her family, and it was lovely to see some familiar faces there. It really was. Again, a lovely service at the crematorium, and it was good to see a lot of old West Park families there, and also all the maids from Lang's Chip Shop from years ago. And I got one at my sleeve that I'm open to interview in the next month or 2. So keep your ears open for that one. Amongst the funerals we've had this week, we did have a private one on Monday. I know normally I just mention Christian names, but if it was private, I wouldn't even mention the Christian name. But it was a lovely, intimate service. And then Tuesday we had Mike's funeral there at our chapel, which was a lovely service again. And then the family had the wake at our place too. So it was a lovely feel to that, I thought, I must admit. You may well have seen in the on our website, I don't think it went on our Facebook page, but went on our website and in the local press. On Wednesday, we had Peter's funeral. Now, I'll give him his full name because it did go in the press and that. Peter John Bray. And I say the John because we all Johns. I mean, I had Uncle John Bray, father was Ronald John, David John, James John, Jesse John, and so it goes on. But I think I was talking to Peter many times, and also his cousin, John Bray, another John, who sadly passed away last year out Rock. That was his cousin. And I think we have to go back about 3 or 4 generations before you can see there is a tie-up. Because Peter's family, the Bray side, was Bodmin. So whereas we was Withiel, he was Bodmin. And we had a lovely service at St Mary's Catholic Church there at Bodmin. Peter was born there. He was actually born, his parents had a guest house, which is now the Westbury Hotel. And that's where Peter was born. And then he went away to sea. I think he was in the Merchant Navy and everything. And then in latter years, returned home to Cornwall, back to Bodmin. And I say we had a lovely Requiem Mass there in at the church. And then he was buried just in front of his parents at St Conan's. So it was lovely to see the family there, but a sad occasion, but all was well. And then another funeral I will mention is Howard's funeral today. And again, that was straight to the crematorium today, but lovely little crowd there, lovely service. And I'd say I've known him for years. He used to live at the top of the hill, so saw him quite often. So that's been my week, really. Flown by too quick again. I don't know where the days go, but there we are. So now for my interview. And this is the first part. A lovely lady. I've known her all my life. In fact, her daughter Rachel is a day younger than me. So we went to school together and everything. But I know you'll love this. In fact, over the interview, which shall be spread next week and that as well, we talk about some other parts of Wadebridge that we haven't touched upon when I've interviewed other people. So it's brilliant. But I know you'll love it. And 'tis Janet De La Cour. So we'll hand over to Janet now. And then I'll speak to you directly with me Cornish word of the week and me Cornish dialect. So, here 'tis. Get on, Janet. I'll be knacking.
Proper Cornish, eh? Well, I can't qualify for that quite. No. Although I've been here 60 years, I'm not sure that I'm quite eligible.
You're nearly
still,
there.
Nearly there, yes.
Brilliant. Well, it's brilliant to meet you today. And should we go right back to the beginning? With your little bit about you and Peter as well?
Yes, right. Well, Peter and I actually met in Bristol.
Yeah.
And got married there and lived there for a short time. But we decided we'd like to move to somewhere a bit more rural. It was getting parking meters and things like that.
Yes.
And this job came up in Wadebridge, a place we'd never heard of before. Everyone's heard of Padstow and Bodmin, but Wadebridge in between was new to us.
Yeah.
But so we moved here in January 1962. And, very, very happy with the move and we lived at Trevanson to start with.
Yeah.
In a little cottage, but it was quite a close-knit community up there. But everybody was so friendly and welcoming, and Wadebridge in general, we found exactly the same. Very, very kind and helpful. So we got off to a good start.
Yeah. So with Peter, because his surname is a little bit different.
Yes, yes, it is. Well, it is French. His parents were born and bred in Jersey, but Pops came over in the early 30s and was on the police force up in Wolverhampton.
Right.
So Peter was actually born and brought up in Wolverhampton. But of course, his mother always yearned to go back to Jersey. But that did happen eventually. Mm. But people have also commented on the fact that we spell it with a large D and a large L, which is quite unusual. And I thought it was strange. Yes. But apparently, Pops's family probably came over to Jersey with the Huguenots. Yes. Yeah. Some went to Jersey, some went to Ireland. And a lot of the aristocrats spelt their name with the capitals to avoid being conspicuous as to who their origins were during the revolution.
Yes, yeah, of course.
Yes. But each of Peter's grandmothers were French. And his mother's mother, she didn't actually write English, I don't think, and she had quite a strong French accent.
Did she?
Yes, she did. Yes, she was a lovely lady.
Yeah.
But nobody would get the better of her.
No.
She was very sharp, very sharp.
Oh.
Yes, yes.
Oh, lovely. So I'm sorry I butted in there.
No,
I
that's
wanted
all right.
to get that in. So you moved into Trevanson.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we lived there for 7 years.
Yeah.
And all the children were born there. And they were all born at home.
Yeah.
Which was not particularly unusual at that time. And of course, we all had Nurse Nora Masters.
That's right.
And we were very fortunate because she was an older lady when she trained. She had been an Orland nurse.
Yeah.
And did her general training. So she was district nurse, midwife, and health visitor. So she covered everything.
Yeah.
And she was completely devoted to her work. And we were so lucky to have her because she held antenatal classes. Yeah. And also at that time, there wasn't much social facilities for young mothers.
No.
Because a lot of them were stay-at-home mums at the time. And she started something called Mothers Club.
Oh, right.
And they were allowed to hold it at the health office, provided there was a percentage of talks about health and hygiene and that kind of thing. And it was lovely. It was a real social thing. We used to have a little fete in the summer. Oh, yeah. And that's how, of course, we got to know each other and made lifelong friendships. Exactly. And, of course, all the children were at school together. So it really was a very close-knit community.
From memory, hopefully I'll get this right in order, George, Rachel, William and Tom.
That's right.
Brilliant.
Yes,
Brilliant.
yes, the four of them.
And, of course, Rachel's a day younger than me.
Yes. Well, we're not allowed to forget that, are we? Well, I can never remember which way round it is, but so you're born the day before. You're the 13th?
13th.
Ah, and she was the 14th.
With Harvey Skinner. Harvey was the 14th as well.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah.
I didn't realise that. Yes, because I remember because William was very friendly with Harvey's brother, Morgan. Yes. But then we thought we'd like to have a little bit more space, and Court Place was on the market at the time, and it needed a lot of work done to it. Yeah. And we moved there in the summer of 1969. But there was, in the past, an annex had been built, which was a massive kitchen, and there was a big Cornish range, which was actually built in under the street.
Oh, really?
So I think people who lived opposite, they must have had an awful lot of trouble with the smoke from the chimneys from that. But of course, that was way back in the past, and it was very disused and dilapidated. But it was an interesting, because in the pantries they had these most wonderful marble shelves for keeping stuff cool.
Did they?
In the days before refrigeration, I suppose.
I did mention it in a previous podcast, actually, Court Place, because that's where Neville Norway lived,
That's
wasn't it?
right.
Yeah.
Yes. And of course, well, I'm sure you've heard the books and Christine Wolfe. Yeah. She taught drama and elocution up at the school, but she actually wrote a play about Neville Norway. Yes, and the story of his murder and the family. And it was actually performed way back in the 80s at Bodmin Jail.
Was there?
Yes. I remember going to that. It was a very interesting play.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. God. And, of course, very controversial as to who the culprits really were.
That's right, exactly, because the Lightfoot brothers were tried. And
yes,
weren't
they were found guilty, but there was quite a question mark over it.
Yeah.
Yes. But so anyway, that big annex was demolished because it was massive, and there was also a billiard hall on the side, but it hadn't been used. The water was streaming down through the roof and down through the walls. And, of course, all the beautiful oak panelling, it was completely ruined. It would have cost a fortune just to renovate that. So that was demolished as well. So we were just left with the original house, which, of course, made a lovely family home. Yes, and the children loved it and their friends used to come. And their cousins, who were actually living in America at the time, they used to come over for the holidays. And all 8 of them, they all got on wonderfully well. And, of course, they had the run of the place. Yeah. They had wonderful holidays. And they've got such great memories of those things. I always remember Alistair Sharp, who was the Methodist minister. He'd worked a lot with deprived children up in the Midlands, and he was saying how important it is for children to lay down memories, happy memories of their youth. Definitely. And it makes you realise, because they still talk about it. I mean, they're all in their 60s now, but they still got fond memories of all that.
Definitely.
Yes.
So, Peter, we didn't mention his job, but of course he was the solicitor in town, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Macmillan's, yes, he came there because Mr. Markby, who was there originally, he was sort of reaching retirement age, and the actual firm was taken over by Petherbridge's, or amalgamated, I should say, with Bodmin. And Peter came to manage the Wadebridge office, and Mr. Markby retired. And then eventually they did split, and Macmillan's was an entity of its own. And of course, Jeremy Hooper joined and was a partner, and eventually Simon Ambrose. Yes. And Margaret Gregory, as she was then. She was living in London, and Peter put an advert in. He wanted an assistant, and I can't remember exactly. Do you want to escape the rat race or something like that? Yeah. And she applied and moved down here. Yes. So, but of course that was all a long time ago. Yeah. Yes. Definitely. And of course, sadly, Peter died very young. He was only 51. Oh. Yes, that was a terrible shock, as you can imagine.
Would that have been late 70s, early 80s?
1986 it was. Yes. But, well, I mean, we had wonderful support and the family and everybody, and you just have to press on, don't you? But it was a terrible blow, as you can imagine. And he was a great loss to the community because he was very public-spirited, and he did a lot of things behind the scenes that nobody knew about. He helped people. Yes. And of course, he was also he was a keen swimmer in his youth, and he was very keen to encourage the swimming pool here because at the camp there was an outdoor swimming pool, which of course could only be used in the summer months. Yeah. And the teachers were very good because the children used to go up before school and at lunchtimes and after school. Yeah. For the swimming, but of course they wanted something a little bit more ambitious, and Peter did quite a lot of research into how some of the Scandinavian countries, they have like an indoor area where you get into the water, and the rest of it is outside, and you swim underneath a little bridge, and then you're in the open, but of course you're in the water, which is presumably it was heated in some way. Yeah. So you didn't feel cold. It's the air when you get out of the water that makes you cold. Because the theory behind that is that the superstructure, the chlorine and what have you, has an adverse effect on that, which makes the maintenance very expensive. And he actually had cooperation from the school, the pupils, for several months. They used to test the temperature of the water in the river. All right. I don't know, it was every day or twice a day. Yeah. Just to make comparisons, because very often the water temperature is warmer than you would expect it to be. Well, I know. Yes, but nothing ever really came of that. But at the same time, eventually, of course, somebody did take it up, and built the pool and then the sports centre itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Well, the swimming pool was actually opened in 1994, and Sharon Davis came and opened it because she was a local girl, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Plymouth Olympic
right.
swimmer.
Yeah.
Yes, so that was very nice. Yes.
Oh, brilliant.
Yes. And Betty Palmer, who was one of the councillors at the time, she and a lot of the other councillors too, whose names escape me, but they were all very supportive.
Yeah.
And so it is a great asset to the town.
Yeah, definitely.
And of course, that was under threat a while ago, and local people all sort of clubbed together and helped to keep it going,
exactly.
which is a huge asset to the town.
Definitely.
And so important as well to have physical activities for the children.
Yeah.
Yes. 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 But one of the things that you might be interested in, as a child growing up, my mother used to talk about Padstow.
Right.
Because her father was a fisherman, and we were born and brought up in Lowestoft in Suffolk. But the fishermen, they used to follow the herring round to Padstow. Now, that finished when the First World War came along.
Right.
So it would have been just before then that she spent a year there with her mother and siblings. They lived in Padstow, and she loved it. And of course, May Day was, especially to somebody at her age, it made a huge impression.
Yes.
And we always had Padstow Pride growing in the garden, because it reminded her. But little did I ever think that I would be coming to live down this way.
Exactly.
So it is extraordinary. And of course, when she used to come and visit, we always had to go and look at the house in High Street where they lived. Yes. So she had very fond memories of that. And of course, as a result of that, there are a lot of still connections between Lowestoft and Padstow.
Yeah.
And when we moved from Trevanston to Court Place, the person who moved us was based in Padstow, and I can't remember his name, but he came from Lowestoft. His family were from Lowestoft.
Yeah.
Now, isn't that extraordinary?
Small world, isn't it?
Yes, it is a small world. Yes. But, so that was very interesting. And of course, going back to Court Place, we lived there for about 17 years, I think it was. And we'd already started to build a bungalow in the grounds.
Yeah.
So it seemed to me to make sense to finish that and move to the bungalow and sell the big house, which is what I did. And I had very happy years at the bungalow.
Yes.
But then again, and I loved it at the time. The garden was a huge garden, and I loved it when I could do it myself.
Yeah.
But once it started getting too much and I needed help, it wasn't the same.
No.
And I loved it. And then I saw these flats were being advertised. They were going to build them.
Yeah.
Because when Camelside was being built, I thought, that might be an idea to buy one of those and as investment. But they seemed very expensive at the time, so I didn't do it. So when I saw these, I thought, well, if I don't do it now.
Yeah.
So, and the rest is history, as it were. But I've been here 17 years. I can't believe it. Yes, I have.
Gosh,
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Time
but
flies.
it certainly does. But I mean, it is a lovely position, and
It's beautiful.
with the park, and I mean the park keepers. I mean, they work really hard. They keep it beautifully. They
Definitely.
really do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got all the beauty without the work.
Exactly. Oh, that's brilliant.
But of course, as I say, I was born and brought up in Lowestoft, and then I went to London and did my nursing training at St George's, which at that time was at Hyde Park Corner.
Oh, yes.
And which is now the Lanesborough Hotel.
Right.
And I trained there. Then I moved to Bristol, which is where I met Peter, and then we came to Cornwall. But still maintained a lot of those friendships right up until now. But of course, now we're all getting a bit older. It's not quite so easy. But we used to meet up once a year and just have 2 or 3 days in London and go to a show and things like that. But my great friend Jennifer, who happened to be a Bristol girl, I mean, we were great friends right from we trained together and we were great friends, and she used to come and stay and had the children to stay and took them here, there and everywhere. And when we were 80, George wanted to do something a bit special. So he actually arranged for us and William and Pauline as well, and Rachel. Tom couldn't make it, but he arranged for us to stay at the Lanesborough for a night. And it was interesting because we used to have some of our reunions there, and they were always very interested in us. And of course, we were quite old by then, but it was charming, really. They were really interested to hear what life was like
definitely.
At the time. And yes, so it really, and then what was so lovely, we actually had a letter of welcome from the managing director with some champagne and a beautiful birthday cake.
Really?
Yes. And yes, it really was quite something.
Yeah.
It really was. But there again, that's all a long time ago. But it's interesting, isn't it? During those formative years, you never forget them, do you?
Not at all.
Things that you do. And they always stay very special.
Definitely.
Yes, they do.
Well, thank you, Janet. That was proper. And we'll have more from Janet again next week. The first bit she talks about next week is the widening of the bridge here in Wadebridge back in the early 60s. But I hope you enjoyed it. I surely did. It was fantastic. And there will be more next week. So for me Cornish word of the week, I'm going to go for the Cornish word for chuff, because we spoke about the chuff earlier, and that is palores. Palores. So I'll give you a little sentence this week, a little phrase as well that you can practice. And this is them saying, there is a chuff in the sky. And it goes, Uma palores and nefo. Uma palores and nefo. There is a chuff in the sky. For me Cornish dialect of the week, I'm going back to my book, which I got from Eric Tatlow. Fantastic book. And this week, it's milky dashels. Milky dashels, which is another word for dandelions. And you can use it in a phrase. Tell you what, 'tis all phrases this week. But like I say, milky dashels is dandelions. And like you can say here, I got to go out and hack the milky dashels out of me garden. Or the boy's gone out to field to cut milky dashels for his rabbit. How about that? There we go. Right, I'm going to leave you there now. And I will speak to you again next week. I say more from Janet as well next week. But I hope you have a good week. So wish you well. Do Guinness. Carnobus Ficken.